Welcome back to the Scrum. August 11th. It's hot as fuck outside.
It is.
It was hot as shit today. It was like a 107 heat index. It's hot.
Gotta stay inside. Just wait for fall.
Yep.
Whole planet's burning, dude.
Well,
aren't there fires out in like California right now?
I think there's actually.
That's all. Yeah.
There's like they have names now, like hurricanes. I'm pretty sure.
Do they really?
I think so. And this
fucked.
fire, I believe, is the second largest one in California history.
Really?
I'm pretty sure that's a thing I've read. Like the current
shit.
fire going on is like supposed to be the second biggest one. And there's certain communities out there that are like not typically affected to where they're starting to become like danger areas. And there's like a bunch of residents. Like, these are rural parts of California, and a lot of these residents are like, nah.
Like they're treating it like Floridians treat hurricanes.
One of them is an ex-firefighter who is like, nah. And this is why it's fucked up, because the guy like obviously understands fire, and I think he owns a bunch of farmland, and the way it, like geographically in the brush and trees and shit around him, like he could go out to his pasture, and basically like the fire couldn't spread to that point because there's not enough tinder to burn out that direction. I mean, this guy's a firefighter. He's not an idiot, but what a guy like that doesn't realize is, you might think you got it figured out, and other people like him who would agree, you're making more work for the current firefighters, because even though you think you got it, actual firefighters who are still doing the shit have to consider you a reliability. Like you can't not be on their list, because as soon as you not be on their list of potential risk factor, they stop doing their jobs as firefighters. You fucking idiot. Like,
Yeah, let them stay, dude.
not let them stay.
All this shit will burn down.
Yeah.
You know, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
I mean, it's the same thing with COVID right now. Like, in terms of like no one's stopping it. Like,
Yeah.
and like, you know, there's variants. There's the Delta and there's the Delta Plus. It's like, you know, these are like subscriptions. I don't even know who's out here like renewing their COVID subscription. Like it's Disney Plus and shit. Try and cancel that shit.
Trying to cancel Disney Plus.
Try and cancel COVID.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that'd be a surprising turn.
I'll cancel Disney Plus if it means no more COVID. I'm willing to make that sacrifice.
I'll just stream it
Marvel
all
What If
illegally.
started today, and I will not watch it if I could not have COVID.
Well, you know, small price to pay, I suppose.
Someone's got to pay the price.
What is What If?
The
about?
Iron Price.
What is What If?
What
is
if
What If?
is a new show. I'm glad you asked. Is a new show on Disney Plus that I aired like at midnight today, the 11th. It's a show that is a new animated series on Disney Plus, breaking down the Marvel multiverse as we reach the end of season 1 in Loki. The multiverse unraveled, and you know the way they set up like the presentation of the show, you're led to believe like this is just some shit you're gonna get given. It's like, oh, what if this happened? What if this happened? It just seems conceptually cool. Well, as all the canon is working itself out, coincidentally and not coincidentally, this shit is part of the whole story. This shit is happening in real time around the events of Loki and around the events of the rest of the universe. It's just so goddamn good.
Is it
So good.
Is each episode like a standalone thing then?
I believe so.
Interesting.
It's supposed to take a look at what if, like, I believe this very first episode, no spoilers because it's pretty out there. This first episode is what if Peggy Carter, Agent Carter, became Captain Carter. So Peggy Carter is she's a British agent who is working with Howard Stark, Tony Stark's father, back in the World War II and shit. And you know, Steve became Captain America. Well, what if the chick who was with Howard became Captain America? I don't know why, right? I don't know what caused that variant to happen, but what if, right? And then how things would unfold if Captain Carter was Captain Carter. I think in the next one, T'Challa, Black Panther, what if he was Star-Lord? What if he was fucking up there in space with the Guardians of the Galaxy? What if that's just how that happened? So that's supposed to be episode 2. And all of these are going to unravel, and I think we're going to get some payoff as to just what sort of consequences these things can have tied to them.
They just like restart the whole MCU with just like what if everything was different?
They basically are.
It's all CGI, so they just go back, re-release the films, CGI change shit like the Snyder Cut, and then just put out the same movies again, make billions more, own the movie industry.
That's fine because Disney and Marvel, with the way they've been using that IP, that Marvel IP, I will support and buy that. I will watch that. I will participate.
You would
I have
participate in a reskin of the entire
because they are so good at what they do. They'll make it good. I have faith. I have the faith. I will keep the faith. I mean, I feel bad for DCU fans because they've just been getting the shit out of the stick. They had their Batman movie. The real mistake, you let Ben Affleck direct your whole comic book universe. That's where you fucked up. You don't let Ben Affleck direct your fucking comic book movie. You
at least don't let Ben Affleck be Batman. You know what I mean?
Even if you do, I'm not like he wasn't the best. Obviously, he wasn't the best Batman. He might probably be one of the worst. He's probably one of the worst. But credit where it's due. He's tall, white guy, he's rich. He's hitting some of the fucking things there. But it's just so poorly done. They've had so many rewrites and like remakes. Like this Suicide Squad that just came out isn't even like a sequel. It's almost like a replacement. I think it's like a pseudo sequel where like they recast fucking Will Smith's Deadshot with Idris Elba, which is fine. But they did do that and acted like a motherfucker wasn't there before some shit. So it's just like they just like did it again because they had to. That's a failed. That to me is you failed at that point. Like if Marvel has to do that, or they go, remember when we did Iron Man 3 and like, but we already killed Tony in the whole story. We got to do that again because we.
Well, they did with Spider-Man quite a few times, didn't they? Before they settled on.
Well, there was the Amazing Spider-Man.
Hold on. So this is why they're so good at what they do. That was all Sony. Disney and Marvel had no dealings. This current inception starting at Iron Man 1 has nothing to do with those Spider-Man movies.
Even the one with that.
None of them, because they were all directed by. Or most of them were directed by.
It came out after Iron Man 1. It just wasn't under. They didn't have a license for it.
It's all Sony.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's all Sony. The Sam Raimi. So they did Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. Then they did the Amazing Spider-Man with Peter Garfield. I think it's Peter Garfield. And
whatever.
That's Sony. And then Venom with what's his face? Tom Hardy. That's Sony. So none of that is Disney, Marvel, or specifically the Marvel Cinematic Universe. None of that is tied to that. However, and this is why they're so fucking good at what they do. Not too long ago, that IP with Sony has expired or now is in possession of Marvel. And the timing would just so have it that we've hit this step in the lore where the multiverse is unraveled. And you can have multiple versions of Spider-Man exist in the same universe. You could bring back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. That's Andrew said Peter. You could bring back Andrew Garfield alongside Tom Holland, and you can literally put their characters in the movie from those universes, and to make it all work, you just go, no, these are just simultaneous existing universes, and it's just you literally just taking something out of another movie and going, I can go right here. But they made it make sense. They made it make sense way before. That's the cool thing is these comics existed before all this shit. This shit already made sense. It made sense before they even knew what they were gonna do. They did well. They did a good job with what they had.
Yeah.
So, to answer your question. So there was multiple Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
But they made it make sense. Because you go as a Spider-Man fan, you go, well, how the fuck Tobey Maguire, and you got Tom Holland? How the fuck?
Well, I forgot that because obviously the Amazing Spider-Man came out after. I forgot that there was that licensing or ownership issue. But yeah.
And if not for that, part of the allure and the coolness of the MC or the multiverse shit wouldn't be as appealing. Like this whole No Way Home, the next Spider-Man movie is so hyped because of this multiverse shit. So without that, like, and the idea of bringing in these other IPs, like, it just wouldn't be as cool.
And what was the animated one that everyone loved?
That was
the multiverse.
That was Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse.
And that actually isn't either. That's not. I don't believe that's Sony or MCU. I don't think that's
really?
anything. It's its own. It's its own Marvel thing.
Okay.
It's its own Marvel comic thing. I believe like the video games have, and that's Miles Morales, that version of Spider-Man. The video games have used that character. I do believe he'll get brought into the Spider-Man movie somehow. I just don't have any idea how they'll do it.
Seems like it wouldn't be that hard.
No.
Like you were just saying.
No.
Yeah, it seems like DC should not enough space for two, you know?
Exactly. Buy your time.
Space.
Like wait your turn or some shit, right? Like,
well, they kind of I mean, they had their chance, like we're saying. Those Christopher Nolan Batman movies were, that would have been the time. But I'm sure, what's his name?
The Batman.
Bale?
Christian Bale probably would have no interest in it.
I think he was done.
Yeah.
Plus, too, like, he was a great Batman. I don't think, like, people were fucking with him, like, in the production. I think everyone thought he was kind of like a bit of a
Probably.
dick, you know?
He's been known to be
Bit of a
tough
diva.
to work with.
Yeah. And also, I mean,
Was it Terminator where he was being a dick to you? See that video? Where he's
Yes.
yelling?
The guy about the lights or whatever, or just walking by the light.
I haven't seen it.
Man.
Bro, you're on the set of Terminator, bro.
That's hilarious.
Relax.
That's hilarious.
Dude, like he walks in front of a light, doesn't even walk into a shot or something, like during a take, and fucking Christian Bale just hops off on
Fucking
like,
amateur.
loses
Like,
his
loses it, bro.
like his like real accent comes out,
Yeah.
which I didn't even know he was like European.
Yeah.
He's like Scottish or some shit. And like
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, just starts calling this guy like incredibly unprofessional. Like starts like telling him how inconsiderate he was to everyone else on set.
I love it.
But
While
what if-
taking all this time.
But what if that was like the
stop
8th time that
production.
guy had done that?
No, but it was,
I
though.
think
But
that
it
was
was.
part of it. I think that was
Yeah.
part of it.
He was
even
getting
in
pissed,
his
bro.
spiel, he's like, "Mate, you fucking done it like 3 fucking times."
Yeah, this
He's
is
not
like
British,
This
but-
is like the 30th time he's had to reshoot this one shitty scene.
Bro,
And, like the
I'm-
same fucking intern
It's
fucking
like
with
that.
someone's coffee over and over. He's finally like, "Look, motherfucker."
Y'all see that? There's this. I don't know if it's staged or not, but the comedian from Half Baked, with the stoner eyes. What's the fucking guy's
Oh,
name?
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer. He does a Pizza Hut commercial for stuffed crust, and it's like I don't know what the video's from, but it's like him standing next to this pool, and he's like, and it's filmed from a camera filming the set kind of thing. And he's
Okay.
like, and he's got the pizza, and he's like doing the ad bit, and he's like, "Can I like eat this? Like I'm gonna eat the pizza when we're done, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, just don't eat that slice. Like that slice is for the shot, right?"
Yeah, that
So-
one's fake.
Yeah, or just
Yeah.
don't eat it.
Like
Yeah.
it needs to look the same.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, he was doing the take, and then he was like going to take a bite of it, and then this pizza handler guy was coming in and like snatching the fucking slice out of his hand, and then they'd be like, "All right, let's we're gonna do it again." He'd be like, "All right, but like, can I eat after this take? Because I'm starving." And they'd be like, "Yeah." And he'd be like, "All right." Pizza Hut stuffed crust, kaboom! And then the guy snatches the fucking slice again. He's like, "Dude, you're killing me." And then at the last take, he like won't give him the slice and like eats it from him. Takes like the
love
whole
it.
pie, pushes the guy in the pool, and
That's
everything.
hilarious.
He's like, why is no one else saying how weird it is that he's following me? He's like walking after him and shit.
Dude, he's got some Jim Brewer. I don't know if you ever I forget what podcast it was on, but he used to tour with Metallica. Would like open
Wow.
up for them,
Yep.
and he was saying some of the stories from like going on the road with them. Dude, he was like, "It's fucking like crowds just like the how just crazy the crowd is. You're going up there just like tell your jokes before like Metallica comes out and shit."
He does a.
That's a weird thing.
in one
real
of his
weird
stand-ups, he does a bit where he's like, if Metallica did children's songs,
Yeah,
and then he does a couple like really spot on James
Yeah.
Hetfield impressions, singing like "Row, row, row your boat."
That's-
I think that was like
Right.
part of like the bits he would do on stage
Sure.
before Metallica came. Like that's all people
I'm
wanted
sure.
from him was just
Yeah.
to make fun of the band they're about to see.
I played a show, obviously. It was similar to Metallica.
Mhm.
I played a show in Fayetteville one time. It was like one of the first shows we played, and a comedian opened the set. There was a
Interesting.
local comedian who opened
He's doing his
Oh,
open mic.
Local,
a local band's venue set.
it's odd.
Like so,
So
yeah.
like, was there like a headlining band above you guys, and it was like
But all
their
local
buddy?
bands.
Yeah, but it was like
No.
their but this
No,
was just,
he was a
The-
local comedian.
the venue was like, we have an open night. It's
we have
it's
a
talent show.
30-minute set up that you could do your bit. And I think he
Oh,
like maybe
man.
he might have maybe knew people who worked there, like in Fayetteville,
Yeah,
right? Like I don't
yeah.
live in Fayetteville. He had a couple friends come to his set, but then they all stayed for the teenager show. These are all like people in they were like in their 30s, late 20s,
Yeah.
and we're like all clearly
15,
teenagers,
16,
yeah, fresh with their driver's licenses,
Yeah.
playing music they don't understand. That comedian like he ended up almost fighting like half the venue.
That's
Really?
hilarious.
Yeah, because he fucking did his set and then got like smashed and was hanging around like a bunch of fucking underage girls, being weird, and then like trying to interact with everybody, watching the rest of the show, like making fun of people who were dancing and shit, and like walking up to people, like talking to them and shit, and just like being
a
a
dick.
creepy adult
Yeah.
around a bunch of kids that were like, "Yo, get away from us!"
Yeah.
Like your set sucked.
Yeah,
And you're like
Set
walking
suck.
around looking for validation. Like,
for real. Oh man,
We're all a bunch of show kids. We will literally beat your ass.
There's a lot of mob mentality going
We
on
all
here.
came here looking to fight people who don't think like us, and you're a comedian.
This is just a cesspool of teenage angst, and you're just kind of
Making fun of it?
Yeah.
He didn't know, but that's the whole thing too. He's like, oh no, like this is how weird is this? I'm doing a set. Like you guys are a bunch of little emo fucks, you know, You're, like talking shit to us, like we're not gonna just be like, yo, you are being mad disrespectful.
Dude, it's such a weird concept in general. Just like the comedian opening for any kind of
non-comedic performance.
Any sort of, it's just like that's not the mindset
That's not how any of that works.
Great, especially like a Metallica show where they're playing like outdoor amphitheaters and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not loud enough to overpower like people back there in the lawn seats. Like, what the fuck's like? What's this guy doing? This is just like
no one's paying attention
at all.
Yo, who is the comedian who has the bit where he talks about how he opened for an ICP show once, like an ICP festival.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
He said some joke towards ICP,
and they're like family. Yes, who was
dude? I can picture that whole set.
The whole set.
He's like, you don't know fear until you have a whole mob of people in clown makeup shouting "family" at you.
Was that on that? But what was the storytelling show that Ari Shaffir had?
No,
it wasn't on that. It was just a bit.
Because he says it like during one of his stand-ups.
No, because
it's like on a Comedy Central presents.
Yeah, 100% is. I can picture the whole shit.
It was a comedian who shouldn't have been at an IC. Yeah. It was like a John Mulaney type fucker. Like it wasn't him, but
no, because this guy was a good storyteller too. Yeah. Like this comedian.
Yeah, I remember that one. I just can't remember who it was. That shit is so funny.
That's a good one.
That's really good, dude.
We've talked about like none of our topics.
What topics?
I'm not complaining. One thing worth noting, because I honestly think it's an interesting conversation. The Toronto Maple Leafs hired a goaltending coach. From my understanding, within hours of hiring this guy, turned around and made a statement on social media that they were firing him, and blamed themselves for not doing enough vetting in the hiring process. Turns out that this guy, who I don't know what kind of goaltending experience he had, or coach experience before, obviously enough to get fucking hired by an NHL team. He liked, and all I saw, right, because who knows, the guy deactivated his Twitter account, so he, on his own shit, like, got rid of his shit.
Yeah.
Liked a bunch of tweets related to supporting Trump and mainly around and on the insurrection riots. And, whatever comments people were making, he was liking those tweets about being there and all that shit. That got brought to the attention of the Maple Leafs, and then they let this guy go. My whole thing is like, A, how did you not know that was his social media like presence?
Yeah.
Whether it was popular or anyone else was really talking, like, how did you not take the 2 seconds? I don't know. There's no way they didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta, this kind of, just the whole situation kind of wrapping into like the D'Angelo thing where we were talking about like the social media team and the front office are very separate, right?
True.
This is one of those times where like you should consult your social media team on some like, hey, what's this guy's online presence?
But I guess
because they're gonna know to go check his likes, go check his replies and shit. Whereas like the GM's like, he hasn't tweeted out the N-word, right? Okay, let's bring him in.
But
like
as right as you are, and as deep as those organizations are, where it's difficult to share communication like that.
Well, you have to. That's my thing.
You have to.
That's
I
agree.
At jobs with much less social impact, at my fucking job, they're looking at your social media. Like they unequivocally are looking at your social media. So it's almost like multiple people. If we're talking about like a systematic hiring process, like multiple people should just be fired outside of like what's right or wrong or whose opinion isn't right. Like you were tasking people to look for something you would have definitely wanted them to find, and they didn't find it. You either just ignored that shit and you were cool with it, which I'm not even saying is fucking wrong. I'm just saying that is what happened, or you just straight up fucking never even bothered to look. And
Probably never even bothered to look.
Then
on some boys club
who is
shit,
letting them have a fucking team? Like who's letting anyone run anything? Like, motherfuckers in my job would get fired. Everyone would get fired if they didn't vet a motherfucker who was on some crazy shit.
Yeah, but it's kind of that. It's probably that thing where it's like, because I think it was also, not that it matters, but I do think it was the Marlies as opposed to the Maple Leafs.
You are right.
It was the AHL affiliate.
That's correct.
And it was some shit that was like, there was a coach in the Marley system that knew this guy in personal life, maybe like did some coaching prior. It was like, hey, I got this dude. He's real good at his job. And then his boss was like, you're putting your stamp on this.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, he's my guy. And this guy may not have even known about all the online shit or whatever. Sure. He gets brought in and it's just kind of, but back to your point, like you as the organization take responsibility for that. Like you made the decision, you decided it without due diligence. You fucking wear it.
To take one step back from all of that. Like, I don't believe, I genuinely do not believe if the TDA stuff doesn't happen, if the Hurricanes don't sign him, or if the reaction isn't the same, I genuinely think this guy doesn't get fired. I do. I think that not enough people, though that wouldn't have changed his opinions, it wouldn't have changed the shit he liked on Twitter, I do kind of believe that not enough people would have said enough shit to make enough people notice that someone would have done something about it. If not for the recency of people just giving a little bit more of a fuck about it because it just happened.
TDA, Logan, whatever, Mayu.
It just happened. And without those things, I just kind of feel like this one slips through the cracks. I do, because there's other ones happening all around us. Like,
probably.
It's happening.
Chicago still exists as a franchise. Like, Chicago still exists as a franchise, and that shit just keeps getting.
Which is like, why are all those same people not just focusing on that? Like, how
they
do we
are,
tackle
but
a
it's
problem
just
at
like
one problem at a time? Like,
see, they don't care about. No one cares about that.
And
well, the league, it's just the league. It's kind of a similar thing with like people are still pissed about TDA, but the Hurricanes are obviously not going to get rid of them. So it's like,
what can we focus on then?
When it's like, what more can we say? You know, it kind of dies off because there's no more, interactions around it. That's kind of what it all,
Yeah,
it's fucked up as it is.
I just see an issue, right, that we're trying to address, and that's to nail it on the head. I think we're talking about bigotry. We're talking about people who have a very narrow-minded view on how others should be able to live their lives. That's often what this comes down to. Someone's being a fucking bigot, and where was I going with that? Please, someone help me.
Big problem. You see it as a big problem.
That's a big problem, but we're not addressing it. We are not even thinking. We're not even beginning to address this problem. When you have fans like me who strongly feel that statement, like that little Twitter graphic, you got someone moving all the borders around and the text, making sure it all centered. That graphic is like nothing but like a performative, somewhat of a dig at the Hurricanes. Like, keeping the social media from this team separate shit, you really are more or less trying to make a statement to separate yourself from other people who didn't do that versus showing what you do or don't believe in. That is how that message gets received by a fan like me. I see that shit, and I just see you telling the Hurricanes, or whoever that team would have been, right? They're just coincidentally the Hurricanes. You're just telling them, oh, look what we did. We didn't let this one get rid of it. Fuck you, all right? Fuck you, motherfuckers. Or just keep it a buck. Keep it a full buck and say, yo, we don't give a fuck about these motherfuckers' views. Just keep it a buck.
Yeah.
I'm asking you to pick one at this point. I really am.
With all of it, I see it as more of a just like, and we got caught, like type of thing.
Straight up.
Same thing with when Arizona did it before, but Toronto. But to their credit, Toronto and Arizona did kind of, it was too late, but made the correction. Whereas Montreal and the Hurricanes seem to be standing on it.
And I think this is another good distinction because, what's the word I'm looking for? It's tricky. It's tricky to navigate, but these are all very different things that like each of these individuals did that we are putting under some umbrella of wrong, which is fair, but we're using that umbrella of wrong as to justify or validate actions. Like this person's fired. This person can't play hockey. This person can't do whatever. So like one person did some pretty heinous shit. One person might have done some pretty heinous shit. This other guy, I'm not agreeing with views, I'm not agreeing with actions, but one guy physically hit a virtual heart on Twitter. Like, from like a technical scientific standpoint, like that possibly might not even have been him. Like, I'm just saying things. Like, like there's nothing, like this guy didn't actually do anything. I guess my whole thing is if someone's gonna live their life to be that individual who makes it their business to seek out these horrible people, then I just ask none of you to sleep. I ask all of you to work tirelessly and keep working because you have a lot more fucked up people to keep finding. That's what that's what I'm saying. If that's like I cannot not be, because this is all a very black and white issue, and I don't mean in terms of race. You either are against the bigotry or you're not. Like there is no gray area there, right? So to me then, if that is the case, then if you are going to actively work against it by way of researching people's social media, trying to find the thing wrong with them because of whatever thing you feel motivated to do it for, I request that you do not eat, sleep, poop, piss, anything. You do this until you die because we need you. And that is where we're at because...
Well, they will.
Good. Well then good. Then things will actually get better. Then I actually have faith because these fucking no-lifes will... Thank you. You're doing the thankless Lord's work of policing the internet and getting people removed from their jobs. Thank you.
Well, I mean, if Toronto's not going to do it, I would rather not have the guy supporting the insurrection in a coaching position
But
anywhere,
you would also, but what I'm telling you, dude, is you would also be okay with it if he did support it and didn't like it and no one ever found out. You would also live with that, right?
Well, if I knew, I wouldn't support it. That was kind of my whole thing. Like if he in his own mind is sitting at home, sees it on the news, and in his head is like, that's my shit, but never doesn't tell anybody. Like he doesn't have flags flying in his front yard. Like he doesn't have a bunch of bumper stickers on his truck showing up to the job, and he shows up on his job and he's not saying fucked up shit to the fucking athletes and stuff like that. And he's literally just...
But it's in his head.
Yeah, and it's in his head, but he's only like, if it's not affecting the people around him, affecting his daily life, and it's like...
That racist shit in his head's fine.
Well, I'm not saying it's fine, but it's like, what are you going to do about it if you literally never know about it? You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm telling you what you're going to do. You're going to find out.
And then when you find out, you then do it. You fire him. You cut him off out of your life if you're a friend. You know what I'm saying? Like at that point, you do. Once you find out, that's when you got to do something. Toronto found out. Whether or not they knew before, obviously we'll never really know. But then the public found out, and they did something about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I'm not saying that it's cool to have the thoughts to begin with. It's obviously not. But if it's only to yourself, no one ever knows, then it's like, it's fucked. But what are you gonna do if you never know?
I don't know, man. I just can't get my head around, except because before I would ever think I need to worry about how someone else thinks, I just wouldn't. I would go, how they think is how they think, and I can't control that. I can't do anything about that. They might think some horrible shit, and that's on them, and I'll do me and they'll do them. But everything else in this world, everything else we're getting pressured to feel goes directly against that mindset, where you need to be constantly finding and searching and doing work to find bad people who you might not know are bad. That's kind of what the onus is to stop these people from getting the jobs. Is if you're not approaching it with this level of suspicion and distrust, you're never gonna fucking find out. Is kind of like what I'm now hearing is like, if we just let everyone be themselves and shit, then all these horrible people will continue to exist, and that just has to be okay. And if that's the case, then cool. Then I want everyone just to shut up then, because then you're never gonna fix anything, and we can all just continue living our lives. You see, either this shit has an end or it doesn't, and then we shut up about it and we just continue moving on, or this shit actually can be fixed and you just eradicate all the horrible people from the world and there's only good people left. There's A or B here. There's no...
Well, I mean, I disagree with that. There's, like you're saying, it's human nature. There's going to be fucked up people.
So let's not worry about it then.
Well, it's not to not worry about it, but you worry about it. Like you're saying, if you're at the job, you don't know, you find out, okay, now I have to do something. Now you have brought it into the workspace, and whatever the space is, you've brought it in, you've made it public. Now we get to react the way we want to react. I'm in charge. You don't work here anymore.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like,
Yeah. I don't know.
Getting to the root of racism and bigotry is that's a whole other...
Well, that's the thing, is
super unprepared for that conversation.
And we are. The three of us, in any case, experience and everything, education, totally unprepared. But that's what we're talking about. That's what this is about. So if it's about that, then I don't know. Make it about that. Make it about that. Like we're like everyone's talking about this dude and his job. We're talking about this dude and his job, and it's just like I don't know. I just feel like the focus is just on it gets put on the wrong thing because we try to make examples of these fucking nobodies, and it's just like again like I'm not saying this dude should stay with the job. I hope you can see that I'm saying like this dude needs to be removed.
Yeah.
But like it's the conglomerate. It's that conglomerate attention on it.
Yeah.
It's that negative attention on it that completely distracts from that root issue. Yeah, we're not prepared to talk about it. Don't have any solutions. Can't. I wish I could. Desperately. But like, fuck, man. It just goes in cycles and circles, and we're not getting any closer to anything. And that's what frustrates the shit out of me. Is that like I feel like I'm clearly watching nothing happen. And people are like, "Oh no, like we're doing shit," and it's like, "But you're really not. You're really not." Over time,
like the social media push behind it, all the blogs and online papers using his name for clicks, because the way all the algorithms work, this stuff gets seen. The more his name's there, it'll get seen by more people. Like,
fuck Greg Wisniewski, man. Fuck that motherfucker. That guy said some shit off that TDA shit.
What do you say?
He put I almost don't even want to repeat it. He fucking put a tweet out saying something like, "Oh, a lot of people don't think the Hurricanes are tough to play against, and we're gonna change that." And he was like, "Man, that's like one of the dumbest things Tony D's ever said." Ha ha.
Oh yeah.
And it was like
I did see that, and everyone was like, "Probably not the dumbest thing he said."
Like
though.
We get what you're trying to do, you edgy little douchebag. But this guy's out here denying COVID, and motherfuckers died.
Yeah.
So it's just like you don't get to use that to make a joke.
Yeah.
You see, like that's and I'm sure I fucked up. I've crossed lines, but I'm also not working for fucking ESPN. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. It's just it's so annoying to see so many people act like they know what's right and wrong, and they don't. You know, they just
that part
don't.
that part I like. I agree with.
It makes
for
me
sure.
sick.
Social media, the patting yourself on the back.
And when the Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment Corporation makes that tweet, that's all I see. I see an attack on the Hurricanes' social media. I can't not see that. Maybe it's just the bias of where I live and the fucking patting themselves on the back.
Yep.
How about you fucking at the person who shared it with you to make you aware of it or something?
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck, at least shows that it wasn't you who figured it out.
Yeah.
Because if it was, you probably wouldn't have ever hired the guy.
Yeah, social media's fucked. 100%.
Hockey's fucked. Like professional hockey.
Fucked, yeah.
We've been saying this, but man, how is it getting worse?
I was with that kind of with the social media thing. I don't think it's necessarily like worse. I just think we're seeing it all now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think it is
the curtain's
probably
pulled back.
Yeah, I think it's probably as bad, or it's no better, no worse than it's always been. And just now, there's cameras everywhere. There's ears everywhere that have Twitters. You know what I mean? So
you're 100% right.
So it's like there's no, it doesn't
there's
have
so
that,
many insiders now too.
Pulled off the rose tinted glasses, and it was like, oh man, it makes it tough to stomach being a fan for sure.
Well, again, and this, I don't want to take away from the hard work, but like the stuff with the Blackhawks shit, like if not for these journalists who have these sources that people and journalists, because of social media and the power it has, people weren't giving that shit out because they weren't trusting someone to correctly transcribe a quote,
or for it to, like the one guy involved with that who was like, I'm not putting my name on this unless I get like on record that this is going to be public record, everything that happened, like that type of shit.
Yeah.
Where it's, now that type of thing's possible.
Right.
So it's good, good and bad type of thing.
Where it's good where it helps. The Blackhawks thing is a little different because we're talking about context. It's different where obviously it's a very serious issue, and it's bringing to light the seriousness of that issue. This all ties back to the stuff with the U.S. Olympics and the stuff with the Larry Nassar. There's a very, very dark, deep issue that is getting brought to light. Like
there's another U.S. gymnast that she went viral again, just kind of tweeting it out around this whole thing with that whole Larry Nassar. Like, dude, that's like they're not allowed. Like their families aren't allowed to stay in the hotel with them. Like they're not allowed to contact their families, type of thing. It was like I've read through like her thread, recounting her experience. Not any of the real dark shit, which I'm sure there was. There was actually some dark shit anyway, but it was just kind of like reading it. You're like, dude, and it's like that story gets brought, 20 years ago, gets brought to a journalist who brings it to her editor, and her editor's like, NBC puts the Olympics on. We have these ties to NBC. Shut the fuck up. And then this girl never gets back on the Olympic team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, then it's so
Brendan
that's
Fraser.
It's the good Brendan Fraser. It's the good side of social media, but then it's also the fucked side of social media
Where you got to see the dark shit, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and it's just again
Ignorance was
the
bliss.
patting themselves on the back type of thing.
That too.
It's like,
Yeah.
dude. It's like that is like that gymnast who went through that and is now telling a story like she did something. She's trying to change the system, but the person who just hits retweet on it, like, you didn't make an impact. You know what I'm saying?
No, 100%. 100%.
So.
That's why, like, for me at least, I try to avoid, like, whenever I see, like, injuries or, like, that type of shit, I might say something on it on Twitter, but I won't repost that video or that image.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't do anything other than, like, someone that happened to someone.
Yeah.
Like, whoever broke their leg in that disgusting way, that actually happened to them. And you might be a no one, but when you retweet it, you are just kind of pushing it out there for another chance for them to have to see it.
Yeah,
like,
that's how fucking
trauma.
Trauma, and also on just like a way lower level when you got guys like Fleury finding out about your trade on social media, and to a more fucked up level when Kobe passed and his fucking wife found out on Twitter that it's like that kind of shit. It's just so fucked up. It's so fucked up.
I mean, it goes off the whole thing of what we're talking about, but man, and that is why I wasn't on social media. That's why I shouldn't probably be on social media.
Most people shouldn't be on social media.
It's just not like it's such a crux because it's so valuable. I mean,
Yeah,
news
again,
and information.
To the trade shit, Fleury found out when we found out, and that was some shit that we were looking for. Just like, how's this situation going to play out? You find out on Twitter the whole expansion draft. If you weren't on Twitter, you would have found out, 24 hours after like the whole world.
I got some hot take shit. No one's gonna agree with this. Twitter should be ran by the government.
Twitter should be ran by the government.
You know why?
Why?
You want your fucking healthcare free, government mandated. Information should be the same fucking way. You want it evenly distributed. You want it honest, fair, and not you don't want the wrong shit, right? Healthcare is the same way.
Well, then you're again to healthcare. You're kind of trusting the government to be fair, honest, and objective. And
I need you to go interview some socialists. They will tell you it's going to be fine. They will tell you that they will take care of your medicine.
Yeah.
Yes, But I'm just saying, the same people who would want free healthcare wouldn't want Twitter controlled by the government. So that's the irony, is what I'm getting at there.
Well, yeah, a little different, but I see what you're getting at.
One's far more important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, I support universal healthcare. I just don't know how it's possible. Like, I just logistically in my head can't wrap my head around how it's possible. Like, Canada, longest lines, motherfuckers are miserable trying to get medicine. They have the worst fucking vaccination rollouts in Canada compared to the U.S. So it's just like, it's free. You can be waiting. I don't know. Poor people get fucked. It's a whole different issue.
I was gonna say, you started like a whole other podcast.
It's a whole different issue. It's just got me thinking, man. It's just got me thinking.
Yeah.
You gotta get out of here, though.
Definitely gotta get out of here.
Jacob,
what's up, dog?
Where can they get us? If they want to discuss this, if they want to correct us, correct me. If you want to educate us, do it. Where can they get us?
You want to talk to us really about anything we talked about today? Hit us up at Talkin Sauce Pod. No underscore. Respect the underscore.
Respect it.
If you're watching, like, subscribe, hit the bell. We got the Scrum every Wednesday, podcast every Monday. You can get me at Jacob, JAY_COBBB. Josh.
You can get me at Teebs, TEABZZ.
Dylan.
You can find me on Reddit at Teabagsybum 69420 lowercase x capital X. That's Teabagsybum 69420 lowercase x capital X.
It's my favorite shit when we have like a fucking long talk about a bunch of serious shit and then just end it with Teabags your mom. 69420.